What began as a conflict over the transfer of consciousness from flesh to machines escalated into a war which has decimated 1 million worlds. The core and the arm have all but exhausted the resources of a galaxy in their struggle for domination. Both sides now crippled beyond repair, the remnants of their armies continue to battle on ravaged planets, their hatred fueled by over 4,000 years of total war. This is a fight to the death. For each side, the only acceptable outcome is the complete elimination of the other.
Hello and welcome to Is It Pure? Total Annihilation. This is a classic Is It Pure where we look back at older games and give them an amazing detailed review, and I'm going to show you why Total Annihilation is absolutely 100% pure. This is one of the best RTS games ever made, and it's from 1997. You wouldn't think that. Well, maybe you would, because it kind of does look like it's from 1997. But the gameplay elements and everything about it, I'm going to go into detail. I will show you, I will tell you, you will not believe it. So, to begin with, I had a bit of a problem recording this because it's such an old game. The audio was broken, totally broken, but that's not a problem because can you hear the music playing in the background? That is the official Total Annihilation soundtrack. Every single track that was composed by Jeremy Soule is a complete masterpiece. This game has one of the best soundtracks of any game, even including every game that's been released up until today. This has one of the best soundtracks. It's just mind-blowing. It's so good. So good. So, a good place to start is to actually explain what the hell Total Annihilation is. Okay, so Total Annihilation was designed by Cave Dog Entertainment, which was a subdivision of Humongous Games, which is an awesome name, by the way. Now, the game launched on September the 20th, 1997. And interestingly, it launched for Windows and Mac, which is kind of... well, it's interesting to me. I don't know whether that's just because of games tend to launch on Windows nowadays and not release so much on Mac. I don't know. Maybe that was the norm back then. I just don't know. Still, I find it quite interesting. Now, it was the first game to feature, well, the first RTS game to feature 3D units and terrain. So, no longer did you have to deal with the little sprites from like your Command & Conquer games. If you can remember Command & Conquer, the original, and Red Alert, little sprites. They wasn't 3D. They were just little 2D drawings, good lord. Total Annihilation was also one of the very first RTS games to have unit order queues. So you could take your commander unit and you could put a build queue down. So you could say build this, build that, then build this, then build this. You could also give units attack commands. So you could say attack this, attack that, move over there, attack this, do that. It was one of the first RTS games to ever do that, which is it might seem normal to people now, but back in 1997 that was not normal. That was groundbreaking, good lord. It's also a massive game. In the past, well, I say in the past, the year before, a few years before, RTS games, they were kind of big, but not Total Annihilation big. If you can remember when Supreme Commander came out, the size of the game was mind-blowing. Exactly the same thing with Total Annihilation. After the game got patched a few times and things like that went in, you could have up to 5,000 units on the field. That is massive. No other game could do that. Most other RTS games would be limited to 100 units, if that. This was groundbreaking. The scale of the game was massive. It literally was massive. I cannot find any other words. It was humongous. Good lord. Humongous. Cavedog's lead designer is none other than Chris Taylor. You may be familiar with this fellow. If not, allow me to explain. He founded Gas Powered Games in 1998, then went on to develop the Dungeon Siege series, and most notably Supreme Commander in 2007. Gas Powered Games also produced Supreme Commander 2, Demigod, which was a MOBA style game, and began work on Chris Taylor's Kings and Castles before moving on to take over development of Age of Empires in 2011. In early 2013, Gas Powered Games stopped working on Age of Empires Online. It's rumoured Gas Powered Games are now working on Kings and Castles based on the Supreme Commander 2 engine under the project name Project W. It's all mysterious, good lord. A fellow by the name of John Mavor also worked with Chris Taylor on Total Annihilation. He was the lead engine designer. And have a guess what John Mavor's working on now? Actually, you might remember John Mavor, or the name Mavor, from Supreme Commander, the massive artillery unit. It was named after him. But have a guess what he's working on now? Planetary Annihilation. You start the game off with a commander. He's a very powerful combat and construction unit. He can quickly construct buildings, but he also has the super powerful D cannon. This thing effectively one-shots most enemy units. It's crazed. It's awesome. However, if he dies, this is a major loss to the team. Not only do you lose your construction capabilities and the awesome D cannon, but if commander death is set to a win condition or a victory condition, then, well, losing your commander loses the game. Oh dear. The game's resource system centres around gathering metal and energy. Metal is extracted via metal extractors, and energy can be gathered by solar, wind, geothermal or fusion power, and both of these forms of resources are infinite. They will never run out. However, you need to balance resource income versus expenditure. This is known as a streaming resource system. Units and buildings cost metal and energy. Building more and more simultaneously will put greater strain on your available resources. You can also store excess energy and mass in special buildings to try and support any kind of crazy mass construction projects where you know you're going to need loads more power and mass than you actually have available coming in, so you can bank up the resources and then dump the resources into a massive army or something massive. You can also use construction units to reclaim metal from destroyed enemy units and structures on the battlefield. Now you have to be careful. If you attack the enemy and the enemy defeats your attack, there is a lot of metal there left on the ground. He can use his construction units to go around and reclaim the metal. So in essence, you're feeding the enemy resources, and that's very, very bad. So the idea is to kill the enemy's base and or commander. You need to build resource gathering structures, unit producing structures, defensive structures, and manage the streaming income system. You can produce K-bots, vehicles, so tanks and artillery, ships, aircraft and hovercraft. So loads of different types of units. There are loads of units in the game. You'll be spoilt for choice. So it's over to you, Commander. Do you have what it takes to build and maintain your forces and destroy the enemy? Well, I sure hope you do. I've been Stylosa, guys. Make sure you sub and follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming. And I'll catch you next time. Toodaloo.